So I messed up last week, and we are going to rectify that today. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be going over all the books that I read this week, which I did make a mistake. I forgot to add a book in that I had actually finished last week before I started The Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. So we're just going to go over that today. If you are new here, just make sure that you like, subscribe, leave me comments below. Check my description box down below as well. You'll find my Patreon link if you want to be a Patreon member and get Patreon exclusive content. And then also you will find my Instagram, my Goodreads if you want to follow me on there, and my Pango Books account. So let's get into the books that I read or that I am continuing to read. So I had started Daughter of No Worlds, which we had seen that in the last video, and I hadn't finished it yet, but let's back up a little bit to the book that I did read and I did finish in a full day. I couldn't put this book down, and that one is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. Now, I did say a while back when I was putting my TBR together, I didn't own a physical copy of this, but I did want to get this read because I do love Lisa Jewell. I don't typically read thrillers, and last year I read Invisible Girl by her. It was like my first and only thriller. Absolutely loved it. I don't know if it was just the right time and the author just hit for me, or if, the author is just that amazing to hook me on her thrillers. So I saw None of This Is True was going around a lot of booktubers that were reading it, and I was like, I need to see what is going on with this book. So I loved this book. I was devoured by it. I loved the story. I loved everything about this. Basically, you're following one of the female main characters who is turning 45. It is her birthday, and she never goes out. Her and her husband never go and do anything. They don't go out to eat. They don't go to clubs. And so she's like, I booked us a place at kind of like a pub, like dive bar type of situation. They go, they're having kind of like a dinner and, just being together. Well, in walks this group of friends with another girl who becomes our second female main character, who's also having her 45th birthday that day. And she is like an Instagram influencer, I think, or a YouTuber. Or no. She's a podcaster. I'm sorry. She is a world-renowned podcaster. And anyway, you see kind of like them meet up in the bathroom, and then like all of a sudden, one of our female main characters is kind of like stalking the other female main character, and then like runs into her and stuff. There was so many things that were weird about this book, but were so good as well. Like, as you're going through the story, you're like, okay, this female main character is crazy, right? Like, all that she's thinking about, what she's doing, and then you never really get the perspective of the other female main character. And then as their friendship, kind of like partnership, where they're doing like a podcast together, kind of unfolds, you start questioning what is actually true. What is one of these ladies saying? Could this honestly be real? And then you start thinking in your mind, she's making this up. This is all a lie. Like, she's trying to infiltrate this lady's life somehow. And I was just, throughout the whole thing, I didn't know what to think. I was like, okay, like, she's telling the truth. And then like something else would happen and I'd be like, she's not telling the truth. And then at the end, you get one of the other female main characters' perspectives. And because something happens, and then all of a sudden, like, everything that you've read and everything that you have been told so far is basically a lie. But then there was like, I think an epilogue or something that really just kind of like undoes all of that stuff. And then I'm just like, what is honestly true? Like, at the end of it, you get no clarification. You don't get told this was true or this wasn't true or anything. It just is a complete boggle of the mind, and it gripped me. And by the end of it, I just sat there for several minutes, and I was like, I don't even know if I'm sane, because I, had gotten through this, and I'm like, this made me question everything. And so it was phenomenal, you guys. If you want a good, I don't even know if this was really a thriller, okay? But if you want a good psychological book, one that's going to make you question everything, pick up None of This Is True. It was so good. So good. I gave it 4 stars. Lisa Jewell, again, has hit the spot for me. So I plan on picking up another book of hers in the future. Next up, we have The Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. So I started this book at the end of last week. I was listening to it on audio. I just dove right into my diamond painting. I don't even remember what all I told you of this book last week. So we're just going to kind of do a recap and what I thought of this book. So you are following Tasana, and she is kind of like a slave in a way. She was taken from her people. She volunteers herself because she wants to save her people, or at least her mother, I think. She goes into slavery. She doesn't have to do like sexual things, but she does like entertainment because she has some magic. So she makes butterflies, she dances, does all of these things, and she gets some clients that really like her. And so she was told that it would take 1,000 gold for her to buy her own freedom. Tasana makes that 1,000 gold. She goes to buy her freedom. Things happen. Now she's off, trying to cross the sea or whatever to join like this mage's order or whatever. Whenever she gets there, things are not entirely as she thought they would be. And she is basically tasked to work with this guy named Max Antarius. We'll just call him Max. And Max is very reluctant. He's like, I'm not gonna, train her. I am not doing what the orders want. All of these things. So anyway, her and Max are training together. Their friendship kind of blossoms over several days and weeks. And then finally, she is approached by someone in the order and says that they will help her go back to where she was a slave at, where she can, basically free all the slaves. So she makes a blood pact. And of course, Max is upset with her because she did this, but she ended up telling Max that, or not Max, but telling the order that, whether she dies or lives, at the end of this blood pact, Max is free. He no longer has to do anything with the order. So you can tell that our girl is kind of swooning for Max, but she doesn't do it in a romantic way. Like, that's not Tasana. And as we're going along, we find out, some people have betrayed her, different things like that. It ended on a cliffhanger. Now, I will be very honest, I wasn't hooked with this. I don't know if it was the writing. I don't know if it was kind of the world building or the characters themselves, but I gave it a 3-star. I had a good time. I am going to continue on. I think the next book is called Children of Fallen Gods, I believe. And I do plan on going because I want to know what happens. I'm already built up in this world. I want to know what happens to Max, to Sana, and everybody else that's involved. And it's hard because I love Carissa Broadbent's writing. I think it flows very well. I think she does an amazing job at building up her characters and the world and the politics and everything that's involved. But why did this feel not as good as The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King or The Serpent and the Wings of Night? Like, why were those books like amazing, immaculate, 5 stars? I still think about those characters to this day. This did not have that same impact. Now, I know this series was before that one, so I don't know if this was like her debut series, and she's gotten better as she's went on, but I just wasn't gripped in this. So let me know in the comments below, anyone that has read this. Does book 2 and book 3 get better? Does it grip you? I need to know. I need to know what happens. So I am going to continue on with at least book 2. We'll see how that goes, if I'm going to finish the series or not. I know that Bookish Box, I believe, had announced that they were doing the War of Lost Hearts series, and I was trying to get it in to see if I wanted to buy it, but I ended up not buying it because even though I love Carissa Broadbent's writing and I love her stories, the way that the graphics and the way that they designed the special editions, I was not a fan. So I just saved my money and I was like, I'll just wait until later on. I'm sure there's going to be other special editions of them, but I'm really kind of glad that I held off as well, because I wasn't as gripped as I was with the Crowns of Nyaxia duology that I read. So we'll see how book 2 goes on that. I'm hoping that it picks up in pace. I'm hoping that, if there is going to be romance, we start picking up with that a little bit, because I got to have some romance. I'm not a straight fantasy girly. That's just, how I am. It doesn't have to be the main plot or anything like that, but I got to have some little, dusting of romance in there. So I'm hoping that picks up as well. So the next book that we are going to talk about is Savage Lands by Stacey Marie Brown. Now, I loved this book. This book has been on my TBR for quite a while. I do have a signed copy because I did see the author at Authors in the Bluegrass last year. This book also was on my books that I want to read, by the end of the year TBR in that video. And also, this is Becca and the Books' Patreon book club. This is their pick. So they're starting the Savage Lands series. And I was so happy to read this. So happy. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It starts off and I just couldn't stop. You are following Brexley. Now, Brexley is the ward of the king. Her dad was a general, and I'm assuming he died. I can't remember if we find out or not. But anyway, she's the ward of the king, so she grows up in kind of a life of, basically you can just get whatever you want. She was brought up a lady. She was brought up, in the finer things of life. So now she finds out that she is going to be wed to this neighboring kingdom's prince, to kind of have an alliance with them. And she is not happy about it because she is like swooning and in love with the prince of their kingdom, who is her best friend. And her best friend, they end up, robbing these trains and basically taking the drugs and the weapons and stuff and giving it to more of the poverty-ridden, people in their kingdom. And it's kind of like an urban fantasy. And she gets caught and she has to go to a Fae prison because whenever she was born, I think the Fae wards had started, I want to say. Basically, she was born and like the walls came down or something happened. Yeah. The barrier between Earth and the other world fell the day that she was born, like the moment. So I'm sure that is going to come into play. At some point, that is going to be a very significant part of this whole story. But she gets caught. She has to go to a Fae prison, and it is ruthless in there. They are mean. They starve them. They make them fight, and basically 2 go in, 1 comes out. You fight to the death, and she is having to fight, and she's barely eating, and all these things. Well, in this prison, there is also a guy named Warwick Farkas, and he is like the bad of the bad, right? He's not human, he's not Fae, no one knows what he is. Basically, he had died and then came back to life, and that never happened. So there's something with Warwick, but he is talked about in like legends there in the human era, in the areas. And basically, you know, she was told, oh, that's just a legend, he's the wolf, blah, blah, blah. Nope, he's real. And now she's entangled with Warwick because Warwick is kind of taking an interest in her, I guess, and they end up escaping the prison, and then things happen, and the cliffhanger at the end of this book, this book is so good. It devoured me. I was listening to it last weekend when I was cleaning and doing my diamond painting, and I could not stop listening to this book. I was finding things to do around my apartment because I had it on audio, and I was just cleaning, doing my diamond painting, playing my video games. I even was walking Walmart, you know, like doing all of my shopping. Like, I just couldn't stop. So I can't wait to continue on with book 2. So there are 2 books that I am currently in the middle of reading. Well, actually 3. Let's just be fair. There are 3 books that I'm in the middle of reading, because one of them is on audio, one of them I have as a hardback, and then the other's on my Kindle. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm diving in and out of books, seeing what kind of grabs me. So first up, I have no updates because I'm not much further, but I am currently reading Blood Union Part 1 by Vila Roth, which is book 5 in the Blood Gray series. I am about 40% into the book, so I've made a huge dent. I'm loving Leo and Cassia, but I have found that I was kind of in the mood for more like Halloween and thriller type books. So I ended up, I'm sorry if you can hear my dog. He's barking. I don't know why. But I ended up picking The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. This book isn't very long. I think it's about 260 pages. And I think this was my September or October pick. I can't remember which one. But you are following Sarah Slade. And she is this influencer, mental health, wellness type of person. She's all over Instagram, gets all these sponsorships, wrote a book, she's a therapist and everything. And she helps people, with their marriages, with, all these different things. So she decides, and they're in Australia, she decides to buy this murder house. Now, 40 years prior, the original owners, the guy had killed his wife, tried to kill his daughter, and then he committed suicide, and no one has lived there for 40 years. So she decides to buy this house because her marriage is failing. They've only been married for 3 years, but it's failing, and she's like, if I buy this house, we can fix the house up, fix our marriage, and get back on track. So you're following her as they move into this house, as she's going to work. This house has this creepy vibe, and you don't know if the house is haunted. You don't know if Sarah is crazy. You don't know what's going on because the vibes of this book are so perfect for this time of year. Like, just perfect. I actually was kind of scared a little bit reading it, and it's not necessarily a horror. I think it is, I think maybe it is kind of listed as a thriller horror, but I would say more thriller than I would horror. It just gives you those horror vibes. It gives you just all of the feels. I told my husband, I said, you got to keep the light on while I read this. I am about halfway through the book, and I want to say things are really, really picking up because Sarah and her husband are getting some renovations done. Their marriage is no better off than they were. It's actually worse than it was. The neighbors hate her. They don't want her there. Sarah is going through a lot right now, and I'm starting to wonder, is it the house? Is it Sarah? Is it the community? Is it a culmination of things? What is happening with this house? Because every time she renovates part of the house, like putting wallpaper up, it falls back down. Or whenever she like pulls up a rotted board, she feels sick to her stomach, like as if the house is making her sick because it doesn't want to be fixed. I don't know. I'm all in though. It's got me all in this. I have a lot of questions, and I'm hoping that the last half of this book gives me answers. But I am currently reading this, absolutely loving it. Hoping to finish it up this weekend. We'll see. I do want to get some of my diamond painting done and things around the apartment done because it's the busy time, and during the week I come home and don't want to do anything. So we'll see how far I get in this. But also I started listening today to One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I can't really tell you much about this because I'm only, I think, 7 or 8 chapters in. I know that this world has magic and it deals with like tarot cards, and it has to deal with like a virus or a flu or something happened to, a lot of kids or teenagers or whatever, like years ago. And if you made it through the sickness, then you had magic. But then they were being hunted down and taken to like the castle, I guess, into a dungeon type of thing and never seen from again. So people think it's a death sentence to have this magic. But our girl did get sick. She was hidden away. She came away from the sickness. She says she doesn't have magic, which I'm starting to think maybe she really does. And you're watching her kind of weave through this political world and find out, how to find all the tarot cards, get the mist to go away, and the people that she's meeting along the way. So like I said, I'm not very far into it, but I'm actually really enjoying it on audio while I'm doing my diamond painting and some cleaning around the apartment. So I've been kind of diving in and out of this book and The Stranger Upstairs. And then, of course, I haven't read On Blood Union Part 1 in probably a week, and I probably should start reading more on that. But, what do you do whenever you have so many books and you want to read so many things and you don't have the time to do it because, you're in your busy season and you can't get through a lot of books. So let's hope that on the weekends I can just consume as much book content as I can. But those are the books that I read. Those are the books that I'm currently reading. I'm hoping that, next week I can get through some more of the 2 books or the 3 books that I'm reading. Maybe start another one. We'll see how this weekend goes. I'm sorry that this video was put up a little bit late. The husband and I had quite a eventful Saturday. I planned on this morning getting up and doing my wrap up and then just getting it posted. Well, we ended up going and getting our hair cut, and then, he donated plasma. We ended up going to the mall, and I went to Ulta. I had to get some of my makeup replenished, and then also we went to Bath and Body because I had some coupons. So of course, I took advantage of their buy 3 get 3 type of thing. And then we went over to some friends' houses. I mean, it's just been a busy day today, and now I plan on editing this video, getting it posted for you, and just getting in my pajamas and reading for the rest of the night. So that's what I'm going to do. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have read any of the books that I have talked about so far. Make sure that if it's about any of the books that I am currently reading, you actually, kind of leave it spoiler free since I'm not through those. But let me know in the comments below, what are you reading? What is getting you into that fall spooky vibe? I mean, we're halfway through, a little over halfway through October, so you've probably already read 1 or 2 books, or maybe in the middle of them. I would love to hear from you, but I will check in with you guys next week, see what's going on with the books that I'm reading, see what else I pick up, and maybe see if I get any books in the mail, because I did recently do a lot of trades through my Facebook groups that I'm in, where I traded a lot of my special editions for my Amazon wish list. So I can't wait to see how many books come in from that, because I can't even remember. I have some ARCs coming in, and then I also purchased a signed copy of Fairytale by Veronica Lancet, and it's the illustrated edition, and I cannot wait for that beauty to come in. I got my notification today that it is shipping, so it'll probably ship on Monday, and I cannot wait. So I will be sure to show you all whenever I get that in. But until next week, I hope you all have a great week, and definitely let me know if you have any Halloween plans in the comments below. Until next time, everyone. Bye!